Hello and welcome to the Tech Beat. I'm James Preston, your tech guide, helping you to navigate the bits and bytes of the World Wide Web and the innovations that abound. This week's Tech Beat includes a very important conversation around your online privacy and human rights. I'll discuss new legislation passed by the Australian Federal Parliament shortly with human rights lawyer Greg Barnes. And it's not the only recent development in Australia that will have citizens on edge, with a High Court ruling having huge ramifications for how we use our social media. And we'll also touch on El Salvador adopting cryptocurrency Bitcoin as legal tender, new features from Twitter, and Apple's next big event. So let's begin our download on the Tech Beat. Australians, particularly those in New South Wales and Queensland, are currently living with a severe reduction of freedoms enforced by the government. At a time when Australians are distracted by the pandemic, distracted by debates around mandatory vaccinations, and everyday stresses inflicted by several controversial policies and rising tensions with police, the federal government has used the crisis status of the country as an opportunity to pass through some extremely concerning legislation. The most terrifying of these is the Surveillance Legislation Amendment Bill 2021, referred to as the Identify and Disrupt Bill. And make no mistake, it is a terrifying invasion of your privacy. To investigate this bill further, I'm joined by human rights lawyer, author and Ahmet University lecturer Greg Barnes. Greg, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks very much for having me, James.
Well, Greg, first and foremost, this bill gives what many are calling unchecked powers to the AFP. What exactly do those powers entail?
Well, these powers, I should say, entail the capacity of the AFP to essentially take over your computer, to alter or delete data, or put data onto your computer. They can do so really for very, very minor reasons. There's reference to criminal offences, but no greater detail. They only have to have a reasonable suspicion. They can get a warrant from the Administrative Appeals Tribunal or a magistrate in most cases. And what they can do is, as I say, effectively become your online presence. And that's what's so dangerous about it, with really no protection.
Well, look, they're all very concerning details. From what you're saying there, it doesn't sound like there is a limiting principle. And from what I've seen, the threshold also seems to be exceptionally low, which is a reasonable threat. Is that accurate?
Yeah, look, the threshold is reasonable. The threshold is very low. Reasonable suspicion, reasonable belief, those sorts of phrases are often used in legislation for police to be able to get warrants. And generally speaking, they do get warrants. There are very few warrants that are knocked back. Warrants to go into your house is one thing, because you go into your house, the police take what they think they can get under the warrant and they leave. This is invading your laptop, your home computer, your phone, and there is capacity under this legislation to be able to do it without having to put affidavit material together, in other words, to justify it to the AAT or a magistrate. If the police say this is urgent enough, they don't have to provide that information for 3 days.
Really scary stuff. Now, the kind of language we're talking about there is things like offences and suspicion and threats. It's not really language that I would imagine is focusing on serious crimes, at least by the letter of the law it's written, such as terrorism. I mean, offences is now a term that is pretty much associated with public health orders, for example. So should we be concerned about how those terms can be applied? Does that not open a huge can of worms?
Oh, you should be concerned, and I saw a comment from a colleague, I think at one of the universities, making a similar point this week, and she's right. I think the other point, of course, is that we know from COVID that police do abuse their powers when it comes to surveillance. They have abused the COVID app, which people use, and we know, for example, that in relation to existing legislation, they have, for example, raided journalists, and taken materials as they sought to find out the sources in relation to particular stories. You could just imagine them using it for that very purpose here. But also it's that issue where you might, for example, have a friend who, unbeknownst to you, is associated with some sort of group or that the AFP is interested in, and you suddenly find your computer being altered and material deleted, or alternatively, a surveillance operation of your online presence. I mean, it's just Orwellian stuff. There are very few protections in Australia. We don't have a Human Rights Act, so there are very few protections against police abuse of this power.
Well, Greg, perhaps the biggest area of concern, in addition to the ones we've already raised, is that in order to get this one through, 10 other acts were altered. Now, you've spoken about some of those alterations in the piece that you've written for Michael West Media, which, if, for example, we did have a human rights charter, this bill would be in contravention of it. Can you go through a little bit about those 10 other acts that have been altered to get this one over the line?
So there are a range of legislation that's been altered. For example, privacy legislation, the AFP legislation itself, the criminal code, a range of pieces of legislation have been altered in order to be able to ensure that this power is replicated or evidence can be used when this power is exercised. I think the other point is that this went through the federal parliament in effectively 2 days. It did go to the Parliamentary Joint Committee on Security Issues, which has been next to useless in recent years, with the exception of Andrew Wilkie. And it then sailed through with support of the Labor Party. And in fact, it's one of the most remarkable pieces of legislation to hit our parliaments in recent times, and there have been many in relation to this area, but got so little press, which is just quite extraordinary.
No, you're 100% right. I mean, I've had to find out this information, for example, from what many would consider alternative sources or fringe sources, so to speak, but it's there. This is not a conspiracy theory. This has been passed through the Parliament. This is legislation now in our laws. Can we go through a little bit about the history of the bill? Because it's taken a little bit of time to get it actually over the line. So when did this first come about? And you mentioned there that it passed with pretty much unison support. Was there anyone that actually opposed it when it was in front of Parliament?
Well, certainly the Greens opposed it, as I understand it, and I think Andrew Wilkie opposed it too, and in fact he gave a speech recently talking about the surveillance state. But the major political parties and the Conservatives in the Senate allowed this bill to go through. I would have thought that the media would have been more on top of this issue, given that they campaigned very, very vigorously when they were raided, for example, News Limited, ABC, and rightly so. And they should be very concerned about this legislation, because their own journalists could find themselves on the end of a warrant here, where the police decide that they're going to start altering and deleting data. Now, people say, oh, that's far-fetched. None of this is far-fetched. We've seen, and it's ironic, we're on the almost anniversary of 9/11. What we've seen since 9/11 is the increasing authoritarianism of our state, the rise of the surveillance state, and very few checks and balances. And in fact, if anything, the checks and balances have been eroded.
Well, not only that, but I mean, you also look at the current issues, for example, with Jordan Shanks and John Barilaro. Now, simply wanting to do his job, he's been under intense scrutiny from parliaments, from police, raiding all of his files, for example. So we're already at a heightened state here, and now this is just going through, and as you mentioned, there's no one really reporting on it. Let's have a look at what the future implications of the bill are. There has been some discussion circulating that it potentially opens the door for something like the creation of a social credit system. Is there any truth to that concept, given the level of surveillance it allows?
Well, look, I think that, that of course is I think a Chinese approach to these issues, has been said to be a Chinese approach to these issues. I don't think you should have any doubt, and we're seeing it now in the discussion about vaccine passports, if you like, that the online presence that people have is going to be taken into account when it comes to their citizenry and where they sit as a citizen, and going to be used against them. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And that, again, that's not fear-mongering. That's just the way we're heading. And what is extraordinary, as I say, is that there is no pushback on this. Remarkably quiet on the part of the media. And that's what's dangerous, because once this sort of legislation has become normal, of course. We've seen it with the post-9/11 anti-terror laws. We saw it with legislation which allowed ASIO to declare operations, special operations, and therefore commit what would otherwise be offences and civil wrongs. We've been bombarded with this sort of legislation. Every government, any time they get a request from the AFP or ASIO or ASIS, give them whatever they want. They've got carte blanche. And both sides of politics have been equally guilty.
Well, you mentioned that there hasn't been a great deal of coverage in the media itself. There has been a bit of pushback, though, from, I think, citizens who have been made aware of what's going on. There's a few petitions circulating at the moment, but I suppose first and foremost, are they actually going to have any impact, and can this bill actually be repealed?
Well, I think the problem now, James, is that the horse has bolted. This legislation has gone through the Parliament. It would take a courageous government, and neither side of politics has any courage when it comes to these sorts of fundamental rule of law and liberal principles anymore. But, it would take a committed government to say we're going to repeal this legislation. But again, it will be up to the courts, I think, to push back. And, if there's one thing we have learnt in the last 20 years is that particularly the federal court has been prepared to try and trim the wings of a rampant executive and the AFP abusing its powers, and it will be left up to the courts. But of course, sadly, the courts can only work with the legislation that they're given. They can't invent the law. But that's where one hopes there'll be some curtailing of this legislation and at least some form of check on the powers that the AFP will no doubt seek to use.
Well, Greg, just before we wrap up, obviously if it's not repealed, there's got to be some sort of thing that Aussies can do to protect themselves for this invasion of privacy. Is there a way to do that? Would, for example, a VPN help to do such a thing?
I'm not an expert in technology, but certainly I don't blame people for taking the steps that they take using a VPN, for example. I had an email the other day from someone, and no doubt now the police will be able to issue a warrant and check my emails. But I did have an email from someone indicating that they were very concerned about this legislation, and they were talking to friends about this legislation and how to protect their privacy. And I don't blame them, because there are very few rights to privacy enshrined in law in Australia, and the police know that. And we certainly don't have a human right to privacy like you have, for example, in the UK or in Canada and other jurisdictions. So people have a tendency to push back, and rightly so.
Look, it's all really quite scary stuff. As you mentioned, Orwellian is probably the word for it, and we're seeing more and more of that. So with any luck, there will be a bit of a pushback. With any luck, we can get people on board with that petition. But Greg, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Let's hope we can either get it repealed or further amendments are made to protect the privacy of citizens.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate you bringing up the issue.
Well, that's Greg Barnes, human rights lawyer, author and Ahmet University lecturer, discussing the Identify and Disrupt Bill exclusively on the Tech Beat. Now, we've got more to download after a very short break, including a ruling from the High Court of Australia that has serious ramifications for your social media usage, in just a moment on Kalkine TV. Tune in to get the latest information.
Whether it's about market movements or the currency graph,
Sectoral coverage or industry news.
we cover it all on our news segments.
Be on top of the latest news
With Kalkine TV.
Hello and thanks for joining us on Kalkine TV. I'm James Preston and welcome back to the Tech Beat, your weekly download of all things technology, and it's time to turn our attention now to South America and the world of crypto. The price of Bitcoin on Tuesday crashed to its lowest point in nearly a month, falling from $52,000 to under $43,000 at one point, before a slight recovery then occurred. The rollout of Bitcoin in El Salvador was far from what President Nayib Bukele would have envisaged when he began his bold experiment. El Salvador became the first country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender, with the country purchasing around $20.9 million worth of Bitcoin. With the move, the world's largest cryptocurrency fell over 10% in a matter of hours, wiping billions of dollars off the value. During the flash crash, crypto exchanges faced problems pertaining to their users' transactions. Coinbase, Global Inc. and Kraken said they all faced disruptions in some of their transactions on their platforms. Meanwhile, Nasdaq-listed Coinbase said some transactions were delayed and even cancelled, saying that their apps might be experiencing errors. The flash crash has kept investors on their toes, and we've been hearing mixed reactions on the same. So let us understand as to how the entire payment in Bitcoin really works. Millions of people are expected to download the government's new digital wallet app, which gives away $30 in Bitcoin to every citizen. Bitcoin fans around the world have been buying $30 worth of the digital coins as a show of support and to help boost the value of the volatile currency. On Monday, a viral post on the 3 million strong Bitcoin page on Reddit read, "So, we all buying $30 worth of Bitcoin on Tuesday?" While supporters of Bitcoin had been optimistic over El Salvador's adoption of the cryptocurrency, the latest crash is evidence that the crypto revolution still has some way to go before it comes to a new place. Moving on now to news from the social media sphere. Twitter has announced that it is testing edge-to-edge media in tweets on iOS. This will create a more full-screen, almost Instagram-like experience for your photos and videos in your Twitter timeline. Currently, images are identified next to a user's profile photo and take up much less screen space. Twitter said the new layout being tested on iOS but not Android would give media more room to shine. So, Twitter has been coming up with a lot of new features to enhance user experience. It's also been testing upvote and downvoting buttons similar to those seen on Reddit. Not just this, Twitter has also launched a tip jar feature to allow users to pay each other for good tweets. It's also radically altered its image cropping algorithms in recent months, and the social media platform introduced super follows for subscriber-only content as well. And lastly, Twitter has also announced another test which allows users to remove followers. So all of these experimental changes to fuel content creation and consumption come amid a rollout of Twitter's subscription service for dedicated users, which is called Twitter Blue. Alright, time now for a final break, and on the other side of these messages we take a look at Apple's next big event and an important ruling from the High Court of Australia that will have huge ramifications for social media usage.
Property by Kalkine. Looking for a dream home? Well, that may sound easy, but it isn't. And from looking for a property that is the right fit for you in terms of cost and other factors, to zeroing down on the right mortgage plan, there are various aspects to consider. And for the latest lowdown on the property market, tune in on Kalkine TV with me, Sage. I will give the latest updates on the property market as well as real estate stocks to help you make the right decision. Keep watching Property with Kalkine.
Thanks for tuning in to Kalkine TV. I'm James Preston, and it's great to have your company for the Tech Beat, a show where we take a look at all the major stories in the world of technology, whether it's product innovation, affairs on the World Wide Web, gaming, or news about tech conglomerates. And for our next piece of news, we're biting into an apple. Lovers of software giant in America, Apple, are bracing for a big day. Apple's next big fall event will take place on Thursday, September 14th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The event, which carries the tagline California Streaming, will be another virtual event broadcast from Apple Park. The company typically announces the year's new iPhones at the fall event, and this year's entry is expected to be called the iPhone 13. So add that to your calendars, unless you're like me with an iPhone 7 and you're waiting until the iPhone release has at least doubled before you consider upgrading. And lastly, for the Tech Beat, let me ask you this question. Are you someone who belongs to the media industry and your posts are flooded with public comments? Well, beware. Media companies in Australia can now be held responsible for defamatory comments left on their social media pages by members of the public. This is as per the latest ruling by the country's High Court. Australian media companies are extremely worried by the wider implications of the High Court's ruling. Australia is often seen as a testbed for online regulations. Earlier this year, the country's competition watchdog forced tech companies to pay Australian media companies to use their content. This led Facebook to briefly block all Australian users from sharing news articles on the site. Now, whilst we certainly do not support the concept of defamation, freedom of speech is incredibly important, and a ruling like that has potentially dire ramifications. Given that defamation, hate speech and others are all subjective, it provides a very slippery slope to censorship that we should all be wary of. Well, that's all for now in today's Tech Beat show. Keep watching Kalkine TV for trending market updates from Australian share markets and also those around the globe. Another edition of the Tech Beat coming your way next Thursday.